Look crunchy, don't it? Yeah, we good. We are good. What's going on, man? What's going on? On, 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 people. How y'all doing, man? How are y'all doing? I'm back in my city of Flint. Get the likes up, man. If you don't do anything, get the likes up, please, and conversate with me. I talk back. I'm a real person. I'm a man, mama. Peace and love and light and illumination to everyone out here. We must know and understand. Please get the likes up. That's how we get that algorithm going, man. We can control our algorithm. We can control it. And if you're not here to learn, I will block you. I'm not here for no urinating contest. I'm not here to argue over your religious dogmatic perspectives. I'm not here to have no lower level conversations. I'm not here to debate anyone. You will be removed from my platform, and you have every right to do what you want to do on your platform. But on my platform, any conversations, any disrespect to me or anyone else, I'm just gonna block you. I don't have no problem with that. There's so much going on in the world that at least us as brothers and sisters that understand, we should be showing a different type of love. So when I say peace to everyone, speak back. Peace, Khadija. Peace, Shatiba. Peace, Miss, what does that say? Her source. Peace, Khalifa 7. Peace, my noble brother, Abe. Peace, Soyin, Sequoia. And invite people to the teachings, man. Invite people to the teachings. Please share my science, man. Please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube page. It's all in my bio. It's all in my bio. We're going to have some conversations because we need to have some conversations. I'm going to talk about myself a little bit and my background. But I saw a person post and they was like, well, Noble Drew Ali plagiarized his book from a European Christian preacher. And you wrong. Eliseus Levi wasn't nothing but a transcriber. The Aquarian Gospels, Eliseus Levi wasn't nothing but a transcriber. Just like Zachariah Stintchins with that Anunnaki. That's all pseudo. But we are lost due to a lack of knowledge because that's what we do. If Noble Drew Ali, he didn't say he was the originator of nothing. He said he gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared. If you understand about gathering, compiling, and divinely preparing, and if you just do a little research outside of TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, you would be corrected, and you will stand corrected, and you will have to admit that you were sincerely wrong. Eliseus Levi was none but a transcriber. That Aquarian Gospel stuff, it comes from other literature. I try to help people, but my people lost due to a lack of knowledge. Because what? We refuse to learn. I ask everybody that study the science, and I say, oh, you think being a Moor, that means you some Muslim. Or you think being a Moor, you think that's what I promulgate, some al-Islam. No. The Quran don't tell you that you're from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood. The Quran don't teach that. So if you are Moor and you agree with what I'm saying, that yes, we're from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood, then that's biblical, brothers and sisters. And I'm educated in what I know. I'm anointed and I'm consecrated. My mother and fathers have doctorals in divinity. I've had the pleasure to study theosophy. A lot of my background is business. My background is theology. This is my life. I'm not no person that's on social media trying to convert you to something. I had to do oral dissertations, written dissertations. I also have an undergrad in business management with a minor in marketing and sales. I've had my own temples before, and if you take the time to research me, you will know who I am. So why would we diss someone that has a professional background and their heart is pure? Why do we do that? Can anybody explain that to me? I ask everybody on here right now today, Brother Bay, I say, if you left the flesh right now, where your eulogy gonna be at? And who gonna do your eulogy and your burial? I bet you ain't no more, no, and you ain't finna do that no more at Science Temple because you ain't part of nothing. I guarantee you. I bet you your family or your wife, they're gonna have your funeral at a church. And Reverend Porkchop gonna do your eulogy. I bet you. I bet you. I bet you. Everybody that be on here professing something. I bet you. If you don't have certain things in your trust and it's known when the flesh is gone, I guarantee you're going to have your eulogy at a church. And Reverend Porkchop is going to do your eulogy. I guarantee you. I guarantee you if you are more today, right now, I bet you when you want to go into a union or a marriage with your wife or your significant other, I bet you're going to go downtown and get a marriage license. I bet you are. And then you be on here talking about you are more and you all this, you are what's up. Man, don't nobody want to hear what you're talking about. I bet you everybody that profess they this and that and the other, you are going to go downtown and get a marriage license. I guarantee, because you don't know. You don't know that the religious laws trump everything. And so when you don't know, you got to go through the courts. Why? Because they got to give you litigation. I talk about a certain type of trust. Me and my father, we were just talking about these things. And why I talk about living trust and the importance of understanding things. You know, man, we ain't talking to, and we ain't even going, we say it's fine once you pass away with the Lord. So what? Does it matter? Hey, that's why it ain't no reason for you to be here. If it don't matter to you, right? That's simple. That's why I be telling people the psychosis of people. If none of it matter, what you here for? So I can help you. I can help you easily and just remove you. That's what I be saying. What's wrong with people? Yep. That's the side. He's like, somebody said that on your page. Yeah. Yes. That's the psychosis I be telling people. If nothing mattered to you and all that, why are you here? You shouldn't even entertain certain things. You shouldn't even be a troll if nothing matters to you. Sir, ma'am, whoever you are, I wouldn't even be on no one page being a distraction if nothing mattered to me. I would stay in my nothing mattered lane. That's where I would stay. Why? Because nothing matters to me. So I have enough, how can I say, courtesy and class about myself, or I'm not going to argue with no one that's doing a solid for a group of people. I'm not going to be a distraction. Why? Because if I'm not into something, I don't need to be a distraction. And that's what I be telling people when they get on social media and I say, you're not incognito. Just because you don't have your face and things on here, I try to educate people. I say, you pinging off a tower. Everyone always be transparent. I say, I can tell you your address. Why? Because you pinging off a tower. Like Big Brother is it's just like an ISBN number of a book. Once I know the ISBN number of the book, I can tell you the name of the book because I have the ISBN, just like your social security number or your DBA and certain things. That's not hard. And so when I say when I'm doing things and we're doing things for good, don't be a distraction. Don't be an adult and then you showing the lack of wisdom because you being a distraction or a troll. Out of all the things that's going on today, brothers and sisters, and I always talk about this, if you don't believe in whatever is going on, why would you be a distraction? And I'm just talking about the psychosis of the mental. Why would I be a distraction to something and I'm not even with? As the person was saying on my YouTube channel, like there's that individual like, well, what does it matter at XYZ? And then I got my college site up too, along with my TikTok. And they like, well, why are they even on your page, Sheik, if it don't matter? And I say, ask them. Because we just having a conversation today. And I say, I'm not going to let nobody be a distraction because no one would do that in real life. No one would go to no one's synagogue or Masonic house or church or whatever you call it and come in there and go in and be a distraction. Because I say, well, why would we do that? I wouldn't even do that. I don't care what someone else believe in. I'm not going to go distract their science. If I want to talk about anything or illuminate anything or prove things right or prove things wrong, I would do that on my own platform. I'm just talking about myself. You know, when we talk about ourselves and current events, when we say we don't understand things or we don't believe in stuff, you know what I mean? I don't rock like that. You know what I'm saying? When I see brothers doing the righteous, I say this is part of the body. What? That can build the perfect man. Words have synonyms. If we on the same level, if we understand linguistics, if we are building a perfect pentagram, if you're willing to learn, I guarantee you we'll all be in the same place. Because we can talk about this all levels. And I'm not talking about nothing outside of myself. I'm talking about a brotherhood of understanding. Once you understand, we okay with everything else because we're not orthodox. Once you understand this and you get on that level of the God consciousness, nothing's going to bother you. You're going to be on a level of peace. You're going to be on a level of shalom. The type of science that I teach is a level of peace. It's nothing. I don't have to, man, I teach peace. If you don't have, once you get a clear understanding that on a higher level, you don't want to bring harm to an ant. You become a warrior in a garden. I'm saying this in a certain manifestation where everything we should be doing, it should be calculated and serious. That's what I'll be saying. This is what I tell people. I said, I'm not on here playing with no one. I ain't on here shucking and jiving. I ain't disrespecting no one on here. I can say a lot more than what I say. I can say a whole bunch more of what I say and hurt a person's heart. Why? Because when you come to me at a disrespectful place, I have authority and anointing to give the same energy back to you. That's why I tell people, like, what you mean? Man, the science I deal with ain't no science that I'm on my knees. I'm fully standing straight up. I give the same energy off. The sun do what it does. The cold do what it's cold. If you freeze up, it ain't the sun's fault. If you burn up, it ain't the sun's fault. If you freeze up, you ain't gonna blame it on the cold. It does what it do. This is what I'm saying. Us, brothers and sisters, under this type of science, we have to understand what we talk about. Listen clearly, my brothers and sisters. Moors, whatever. We should not be arguing over no man-made religion. Because if we say we Moors and we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood, yes or no? Anybody on here with the Bay last name? What do we do? Have you heard in our vernacular, in our science, we're from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood? Yes or no? Because I want to see, do we agree? I'm going to start breaking things down very simple. Because we're going to start making a lot of us that say things and profess things look real crazy. Watch this. Are we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood, based on teachings? Yes or no? Watch this. Yes or no? Anybody? This is not simple. This is not hard. This is very simple. Are we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood, based on teachings? Yes or no? From your teachings. Because I told you, I love the prophet, but I don't take it no farther. Why? Because in the flesh, you have to have those great, just like other great men. Not saying that you're greater than no one, but in your right, in your time, in your dispensation, you got to be one of them ones. You got to be one of them ones. In your time, in your dispensation, you always got a Michael Jordan, a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in your dispensation. You have to. And we have to give credit to those good ones that's doing the good for us. The last thing I just said, are we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood? Yes or no? Peace, Akina. That's all I'm asking, Morris. And then when I asked it, because we have these L's and we have these Bay, thank you. I asked every more. I said, are we from the tribe of Judah, Lineage of David by blood, yes or no? Lamar J, the real Israel, peace and love to you, brother. You said Judah for sure. Okay. You don't get that in no Al-Quran. Because the Al-Quran, they ain't talking about that. You don't have to be. And Lamar J, the real Israel, said he's not a Moor. And I'm glad we're having these conversations, but I promise you, if brothers was able to sit down in academia, well, okay, hold on. Let me finish reading. I got a lot of different platforms. Now, just to give you heads up, I got my dual master's degree from Grand Canyon University in first century history and religion and linguistics and dispensation and language. So we can have that conversation too in a minute. That's why I tell people, I don't diss nothing. You said the prophet, double, do I leave teachings us to worship under your own vine and fig tree? I get that, vine and fig tree, but that ain't what I said. With all due respect, context, I just asked the specific questions with all due respect, because if you was taking a class with me, academia, if I was teaching hermeneutics or hermeneutics or any other craft, and if I wanted a specific answer, a person couldn't give me an answer that's not in the context of the question. First, it has to be some ground rules. And I understand what you're saying. The prophet, double, do I leave, teaches us to worship under your own vine and fig tree. I hope we know what our vine and fig tree is. Not saying you can study under anything you want. Not study under anything you want. That ain't what it said. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying. The prophet didn't say, when we use it in out of context, when the person to say, well, I can study anything I want, or be this, or be a rogue, or be a drug dealer, XYZ, and still do this. Why? Because I'm studying under my own vine and fig tree based on what I want. I'm not saying if that's what you're saying. But vine and fig tree, I hope we understand the duality and the understanding and the context of that word when it's being used. That's all I'm saying. Because we can throw things out loosely, and then I say, put it in a sentence. Give me the etymology of the word, how it's used in certain things. That's where we will go with things specifically, not out of context, And so, as I proceed, you said, the brother said, we will be ready when Jesus comes. Okay, hey, like I said, I'm not here to debate no one. If that's how you feel, I get that, but let's stay in context. If we can stay in context a little bit. You said, I'm not a Moor though. Okay. You said, I read the King James Bible. Okay. So then I ask people, are they Hebrew Israelites, whatever? They might say yes. And I say, well, do you read things in Paleo Hebrew, or XYZ, And I say, is the King James, that language, is that Koine Greek? So when I talk about certain words in the Bible, when you research the origin of the words, like it's a word in the Bible, when people think manifest, is called palero, meaning to magnify and bring back to your remembrance. So it's a lot of things. So when I ask brothers, are you reading the King James? Are you reading it? Even in the Bible, it's certain books that was taken out the Bible that the Bible speaks of. And one little simple book is the Yasher, So I'm not here to debate. I'm not here to debate nothing. That's not my mission. My mission is not to debate anyone. I know a lot of people be thinking Flavia Joseph is real. And I'll be saying, what, the Pisos family? So a lot of stuff can be illuminated from scholarship and academia. I'm not talking about how no one feels. I never get into a discussion or discourse with no one religious dogmatic perspective. I'm not doing that, because a religious person is going to come from their perspective. If you are a radical Moor, you're going to come from that radical perspective. If you are Islam, you're going to come from your perspective. I see it on social media. I see the Christian and the so-called Islam Muslim arguing all day. I see Moors arguing. I see religions. I see all that. But I say now, academically, if we dealing with scholarship, that's all I deal with. But belief system, and I'm not dealing with that. Because I know a lot of what people profess. If you was dealing with scholarship and you understand what the words mean when it was written and forevermore, and these words would be broken down to you and being used in the proper context, you would be, how can I say? Because we don't want to use negative words. We want to say, I hope the Holy Spirit will illuminate you. I'll give you another analogy. And before we proceed, I've heard brothers from the perspective of Hebrew Israelites, because it was asked to me, and they used the word, dang, I almost forgot. Laban. And so they used the word Laban. They was using it in a derogatory, context, right? And so I understand when you use words literally, but when you're using it to say this person is a, WHITE person like that, I say, okay. I said, now I'll give you that if you want to have that. Listen to the correctness. If that's the case, and all you got to do is do it. You got your smartphone, be smart with it. We can't be out here arguing on things that we can look up, and if that's what we into or not, we can at least judge from a perspective to be like, yeah, this brother is telling you the truth. Like, you use that in a miscontext, right? I ain't say you have to go to school. I just said I chose to go to school. That was my thing. Just like if you chose to go to anything that you put an extra effort into. I'm not saying I'm better than no one. I chose to do that. Why? Because that was my expertise, because I wanted to teach it in academia. I wanted to be one of the ones that can go to the university and say, you can't shut me down. Why? Because I got the same degree and I graduated with honors. That's why I'm saying this. Not saying I'm better than no one. I'm saying a person like myself could have went to academia, which I still do, but I come in here and teach and show people that, no, you don't have to sell your soul or do that. You can have an expertise. Just like if any craft, you go to music school, anything. We got to stop dissing academia, That's what I'm saying. I said, we got to stop dissing academia. And that's what people do. And that's what I said. Sometimes we just need to listen. Because I didn't say this was better than that. Never done. I said, I'm giving a person my background. If a person will want to know the background, not saying I'm better than no one, because the only person to feel like that is the person don't say, okay, well, that's dope. Because we glorify other things. That's meaningless. So when I'm saying that, I say, hey, you can do greater than I. And what I teach the young kids in the world to go and get an extra skill, no matter what it is, learning finances, being good stewards and everything, physical fitness, learning the values of a dollar. That's a form of educational wisdom that a person like myself or you or anybody else that have that expertise and come bring something to the community. That's what I'm saying. If you ain't rocking with that, I wouldn't be here. I would be here just to listen. Lamar J, the real Israel. That's what I'd be telling people. It's like sometimes energy be off, we gonna exclude you. I told you, this is my channel. I told people, man, I said, we have a problem with comparing and contrasting. We think we all the same. We not all the same. This is what I be telling people. I say, you can't be mad at a person's story, right? Like, it's my story. Last time I checked. Just like if I was on here like, yeah, man, I just got out of prison. I did 50 years. I did 20 years in the joint. I'm triple OG. Ooh, West Pad gangster. People be like, well, that's dope. Man, that's stupid. To me, that's stupid. All our role models don't have to be no one that say, man, I went to prison and this. We don't have to do that. We can show the kids that, man, we from the hood. I'm from the block, West Patterson, just like you. Brother had attacked, went through the same thing. My brother was murdered in the streets. My baby brother, Akil Jelani Goodwin, was murdered in these city streets. What people be talking about? In my neighborhood, we didn't diss wisdom. We had brothers that went pro, and we had educators, scholars, in our neighborhood. And we push brothers, just like we push the young dudes in the neighborhood. That's dope. That's not in the hood like that. Push them to be excellent. Talk to them. That's what I'm talking about. And when we have the wrong type of energy, what we have on social media, that's why I be telling brothers. I said, that's the problem. When we think we all supposed to be the same. and we don't celebrate a person that look like you from the same area that's come and deliver a message that say, hey man, well, our brother, he went and got that degree in business management with a minor in marketing and sales, a nonprofit business startup. He went got to do a master's degree in Christian religion and history and counseling and psychology. What's wrong with that? That man ain't never said he was better than no one. And you see, and that's the energy that people give when I say, because you don't have the aptitude, and that might not be something that you want to endeavor. That's okay. If you want to be a person that say, man, what success is to you is working a job and say working in the GM or something, and you want to be the best GM worker, and to you that's successful, so be it. If that child say they want to be the best, they say they want to play a trumpet, and they want to go to school and go to college and learn music and all that arts and crafts. That's their endeavor that they want to do. It just so happened that my dad was in business. I saw my dad doing business as a young man, being a executive. I saw my mother being a consultant. You know, she was working in the bank. And then my dad bought houses in our neighborhood and turned them into my mother daycare franchises in our neighborhood in Flint. Like, these are things that I saw in my household. And I grew up in the hood on the corner of West Patterson. On the corner of West Patterson. You know, I said, like I tell you, I saw my baby brother my baby brother got murdered. I saw my friend Michael Blackmore get murdered. My cousin Miguel Swain got murdered. My boy Mike Ville got murdered by his brother. The police killed his brother Marlon Ville. So I don't have to glorify none of my lower self or glorify that. I be showing kids that we could come from the same place. Some of the same things that can happen. You know, or I know happened, or I know people, families wasn't right, and this, that, and the other, and they still overcame. That's what I'm here to promote. I'm here to promote to the kids to say, be the best that you can be. Use your mind to manipulate everything you want to get. That's what this is about. You're supposed to be casting spells on yourself, at a young age, for your kids can manipulate everything in their best interest. That's what this is about. It ain't all about no one that done went to jail, or we got some old prison stories. And when a person like myself can talk about education, then a brother be on social media talk about you glorifying education. No, you glorifying it. I ain't glorifying it. I'm giving a person my background once I finish my autobiography. All this will be in my autobiography. But when other people do it, yeah, man, this is, or the white man, oh man, I know him. Or if you in law, well, he a Jew. That's what I'm doing. Oh man, look, he got to agree with it. All those things. That's what we do. But I said, what's the psychosis of the mental of us? I always say this. I always say that with my people. The psychosis and the mental of this. And that's what Kwanzaa Kunjufu was talking about when he was talking about the conspiracy to destroy Black boys and girls. All the way back then in the 80s and early 70s is valid today. Why? Because this is what frowned upon. And you only hear men talk like that. You only hear these men that be in a religious concept because his name had some old Israel or this, so I know what that be. And that's why, because they don't have the aptitude or the intellectual capacity to go learn something and be able to be a 5%er, you know, that be able to do both on that level and bring their own chair and table to any meeting, to any situation that's going on. Why? That can talk very eloquently and matter-of-factually on every topic. That's worth value, and that's the issue, and we frowned upon that, and that's why I said, man, we don't love ourselves when we believe in something that we ain't never seen, and that's the part with me that behooves me, especially with our people and with men that's religious, you know, no matter if it's Christianity or Hebrew Israelite or whatever we may be, Moors, whatever, the aspect of the non-intellectual and the non-educated is put on a pedestal. And I said, we all ain't like that. We all ain't no bums. We all ain't no ex-thugs or no ex-junkies. We ain't that. We all ain't that. I'm sorry. Is it some more that's been out of prison that ain't graduated high school? Yeah, I know a whole bunch of them. I know a whole bunch of them. Do they frown upon the things that I choose to endeavor? No. Everybody parent that I talk to that's adults, they be like, man, I love for your kids to teach, for you to teach my kids. Man, I'm certified autistic training, ADHD, all different psychotherapy skills. What people be talking about? They seen me on the news out here in Arizona working with our own kids. That's why I said we need our own practice, but it's frowned upon in our own community. That's why I say the psychosis of the men. That's why I be telling the empresses, I be feeling sorry for y'all and the babies. Why? Because when you have jack legs like that be gun-ho like that tell you something about their decision making. With all due respect, and there's no disrespect to no one. I'll be telling people, man, most people have no idea. I said in academia and scholarship, if you was doing a certain thing and if you was going to do things in a proper manifestation and you wanted to call yourself a scholar or XYZ and do peer review scholarly research, well, then you have to be willing to go through that rank and do that. You just can't jump up and say, well, I'm a scholar now and I feel like that and scholarship is being given to you. It's just a dang old teaching moment. So when I get back to the concept, when people be saying, well, they only read this and that and the other, and I say, well, if I can give you a phrase and a word that religious people would do, that want to make righteousness contingent on your color, when they say Laban is the white man, XYZ, for no disrespect, I'm saying it in that context because I heard these people when they were trying to, explain a certain thing like righteousness is contingent on color. And I try to stay away from that because it's too much of us talk that I want to talk about that I ain't got time to be on that. Think about it. I don't give that no time. Just like if we don't give something that can't harm us, no issue. It's like a fly. We got too much serious talk to talk about. We're still talking about that. But anyway, check the science. So when they say, oh, Laban, and they were trying to say that the WHITE man is Laban, and so, I pulled up. Because this is my neighborhood, in my city of Flint. As I'm saying it, I never do no confrontation. I see brothers, peace. They like peace sheet, because a lot of people know me because I'm from Flint. I don't care what your religion is. You probably know me. I'd have been in all type of ministry in the churches, all that. Why? Because I grew up in the city. I ministered places. Why? And I taught the truth. All people got to do is research it. There's nothing wrong with that. But when a person was like Laban, the WHITE man, and I say, if that's what you say, well then Jacob married Laban's, the WHITE man's 2 daughters. And if we want to talk about this color thing, and I say, am I wrong or am I right? Did Jacob marry Laban's 2 daughters? Mm-hmm. You would say, yeah. So you would say, yeah. Not how you believe or try to break it down. You would say, well, wait a minute, she, yeah, Jacob did marry Laban's 2 daughters. Right? Or am I wrong? So if we say and can agree to what's written, we'll say, yeah. So we'll say in that context, well, are you saying Jacob married the WHITE man's 2 daughters? I mean, because we got to use our hippocampus, right? We got to use reason. It's no disrespect. I'm just asking people when we say things and try to make a difference and righteousness is on this. I say, did Jacob marry Laban's 2 daughters? Yes or no? If you say yes, and then you say that Laban in that context mean, WHITE man, because that's what you would say. Then if you say that and you explain it like that, then you saying that Jacob married the WHITE man's 2 daughters. All right. If that's how you're trying to use it. If that's how you're trying to use it. Because the whole question that was from the beginning, if people can stay in context, I was asking people, are we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood? And people and then you get so much stuff out of that. And I said, if you are more. And then I said, if you are more and you understand that, or if you don't understand that, the next question I was going to say, well, where did you get that from? I was going to say, did you get that from the Quran or did you get that from the Bible? That's what I was saying. That's all I was saying. Because if a more say, yeah, we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood. And then I say, well, did you get that from the Quran or did you get that from the Bible? Or can it be found in the Quran, the Bible, however you want to give it? Because, you know, some people be playing semantics and say, well, I got to be specific. So where would you get that from? I always ask my brother and sister, where would we get that from? Are we getting that from the Quran or are we getting that from the Bible? I'm just asking if you wanted to research or somebody, a person say, well, I read this, it's such and such, such and such, such and such. All right. So that's all I'm asking, brothers and sisters, man. We're not here to argue over semantics over no one man-made religion, or get on here to have a dispute with each other. That's not what we're here for. And so when I always be explaining these things to our brothers and sisters that may say they are Moor or Hebrew Israelite or a Christian or any of those things, I say so, and it might be your cousins and your family. Is it things that's peace? Is it things that's synonymous to things that y'all should be in common? This because I'm trying to get to a point. Because all the disrespecting each other, all that stuff, that's mean. It's arguing over some religion. That's like it's serious out here. And so I said, I thought we supposed to understand that's what I thought you supposed to seek wisdom. That's why I say we have religion forever. It's a brotherhood. If we don't understand it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood, I'm telling you, it is. And if we don't understand that when people say religion, no matter if you're a Christian or whatever, we're talking about prophets in the flesh. But then in biblically, if you don't understand that I don't even know what that person said. That person said, I don't even know what that person said, man. But if they try to be funny, I don't know. I don't even know what you were saying. It sounded like saying, can you buy some black spirituality? I don't know what that is all about, brother, or whoever that is. I'm not sure what you're saying. With all due respect. But if you, no matter if you Christian or none of that, I think you should get to a point with understanding. I just think we should get there at that level to be able for things can be brought to us for people can research some things, and say, whoa, wait a minute. And so when we talk about certain research, when I talk about peer-reviewed scholarly research, when I talk about researching things to be matter factual in that context, we shouldn't frown upon that. That's all I'm saying. When I'm able to give certain research and things to be say, well, did you look at this? When a person to say, tell you that I'd like I always give an analogy about Willie Lynch, right? I always give people about roots historically, it's things that can be cleared up. I say it's no such thing as a Willie Lynch letter. And a person to be on here and try to argue with me up and down on that level, and then when I give scholarship, because I've done this in academia, you'll be like, dang. And if you follow me or seen any of my teachings from academia level, you will know I already done gave the books, the history. That is no such thing as a Willie Lynch letter. It would be in the Library of Congress. The language don't match. In certain areas with certain places, words have to be written how the time is. So black, BLACK, was not spelled in a certain area, at a certain time. It was spelled a whole different way. And that's just what it is. Just like when I tell people, I've been showing people, it's a book called The African by Harold Colander. It's a European Mason. It's his name, Harold Colander. He wrote a book called The African. That's where Alex Haley plagiarized Roots. The same European that wrote Behold the Pale Horse. The guy that wrote, I told you, I wrote the African, Harold Colander, and Zachariah Stitchin that wrote that pseudo Anunnaki stuff that a lot of people be using. It'd be off. You know? And I'm not here to tell you what I'm saying when people say you come from Africa, brother, with a question mark. I don't know what that means. I mean, in general, I understand. I come from America. My family is from America. With all due respect, but I get the conception. You might see headdresses and things in the background, but I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what you're saying. You know? But if, you know, like I always tell people have the right, when they know their family crest or their coat of arms. That's why I say we have to respect a lot of things. And a lot of times we just don't. And we try to put each other in the box and things, you know? Just like with terms, and just like when people say the name Africa and the term Africa was given to us by certain European things. And when I already done lectured this stuff. So I know where people be coming from, you know? I know where people be coming from. But I'll be like, dude, there's no reason to do those things. And I say, I understand. I'm not going to debate no one. I'm never going to debate no one with nothing that you can look up easily and be like, yeah, he's telling the truth. I'm not going to do that. Because I know I can just stay specific with the scholarship. And it don't have to be no arguing, no debate. A person can be from wherever they from, but a person not going to tell me where I'm from because I know my family. Nobody can tell me, oh, in Deuteronomy, we were all slaves. No, I wouldn't. I have my family. I have my whole family. My father's family from Florida on strawberry farms. I ain't saying no people not from Africa, and I'm not saying you saying that, but it just so happened that I know my family background. I know my family crest and my coat of arms. You see, I wear it on my coat. With all due respect, so I'm never going to let nobody be on no platform and tell or say, well, we all this. No, you may be that. In generalities, I understand specific certain things, but the specifics from my family, from my bloodline, I can't nobody tell me where I'm from and my family, just like I can't tell you where your family. You know, I'm not gonna say that and say, oh, you don't know that your father's father is from such an area, and I do, and I have all my family background that we from Florida, we from the Americas, been in Florida 150 years before people even talked about what I'm talking about. With all due respect, and I have our family background, and I have to go to no internet stuff and get nothing from no what they be calling that. Oh, I'm gonna do my family background by some fake company that ain't even real, some Nigerian scam artist. This is what I be telling people when I be telling people, nobody can put me in a box. I know my family background. I know my family crest. I ask people what the name that we call ourselves. You had freedman, then you had freemen, and then you have slaves. I ain't disagreeing with nothing. You have certain people from certain areas. People don't know enough. But what do we call ourselves? Amazigians. You probably never heard of the word. Amazigians. Amazigians. When I can show you from history, from scholarship, when a person be saying they know this, and I say, well, I can give you scholarship. All you got to do is get the one world Tartarians. None of that stuff happened like a person to be professing with that straight out of Africa, with that type of slavery. None of it happened like that. I'm not saying something happened or something didn't happen, but it damn sure ain't happened how a lot of people will be explaining from a pseudo perspective. With all due respect. And when I be saying this, I already done it in academia. So I don't have to argue with no one. I just be like, man, you wasting your breath. That's all. They were like, what you mean? I say, okay, well, we can study, research, and cross-reference and and look up the record books and look up everything. Nothing ain't happen like that. From scholarship, I can show you where all that stuff be coming from, who made the stuff up. I already told you about Harold Colander that made up all that back to Africa stuff. I can get deeper with it if you want to. That's what I be saying. If we educate ourselves on things, I ain't talking about this and that. I done been through it. Education is understanding. I'm imparting knowledge. We have our own school. This what I be telling brothers. But those brothers from the Lord itself that might have been dropouts and this things, I say, you would want your kid to learn from me. And if you say you didn't, you're not telling the truth, brother. You just have a problem with me. And that's your lower self. You don't love me because I love you. Don't see God. You don't love God. Why? Because when you see me, you won't even get that respect. Why? And I ain't coming to belittle no one. I'm coming to show you that you can do greater things than I, and your children can too. But I'm one of them ones too. This is what I be telling people. I said, dude, we done lost our marbles. Like we done lost our marbles. Not to respect our prophets in the flesh. What our one-on-one say? What is a prophet and an angel? I mean, it's two instances in our one-on-ones that tell you clearly what a prophet and an angel is. I mean, what we have a problem with. And then the first thing we do is diss wisdom. I be like, man, that's a cold play for me, that's what Carter G. Woodson said. What, the miseducation of the NIG, because he put it on the preachers and the teachers. That's why the Bible said, woe to you, lie. That's why I be telling people, I said, man, something wrong with us. I said, when a brother is anointed and consecrated, come from the same background you have, and able to bring a message back to the people that can't be compromised, and we reject it, that don't even make sense. Like that don't even make sense. And then when I ask brothers, when I say my moral science is not what you may think it is, I have my own charter. I have my own fraternal order. I don't have to recreate the Moral Science Temple of America because there's only one. I have a temple in school. I have a fraternal order. It ain't nobody over me. Am I part of the Moral Science Temple of America, which is only one? Yes. That don't make me better than you. Did I graduate from academia and all that and got do a master's degree and do a bachelor's degree in business? Do that make me better than you? No. But if my heart is pure, like it is, I'm able to bring something back to us for we can not make some of the mistakes that those before us did. Or some of us that done took the piece, Lamar, or some of us that might have been compromised and took a check and be one of the talented 10th instead of being one of the 5%ers. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. And it's sad when I see this on both levels. I see it all day, and I only see it in our community where education and wisdom is frowned upon. Where we won't even talk about this type of trust and things that I talk about, that others talk about in their confinements. When I talk about the things that they do privately, when I talk about doing things, we don't talk about that. And when we have one of us that then did that and say, hey, these things can be done this way. Look at this, how we looked at this. Well, let's look at this correctness. Let's look at this world. Man, most of the brothers be coming from something that they heard. And when I say academia, scholarship, I say you have to be matter-factual. No one have to like what you're saying in academia. You must prove what you're saying. And that's what I'm talking about when I say academia. I say, well, it's a certain way that I teach, and it's a certain way that I learn, where I have to be matter-factual of what I'm doing based off the research. And now if more research was given to me, then in this context, then I would have to go with that. But for the time, for what we're doing, I have to cross my T's and dot all my I's. I will hope you want someone is a sharp like that, especially if they defending you in your best interest, or distributing spiritual wisdom to you, or so-called, I don't even want to call it African American history because there ain't no such thing. I'm gonna call it world history. And so that's what I tell people. I say the numbers, it don't add up. Even when we talk about the so-called free Negroes on Israel Hill, man, I can go all over dispensations of what was here in the Americas when people was say, well, what was here? Man, you can get in an 1828 dictionary and look up what an American is. That's simple. When I tell people, I said no one can tell you that back to Africa and all that Kunta Kinte fugazi stuff. That's fake. That's straight up fake. And people that made a YouTube video with Kunta Kinte with my cousin, man, that's fake. But when you get in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, you can look up American, and you tell me what you see, what an American is. Because I hope you know, this don't change. American, it says the copper color races, found here by the European. But now, transfer, blah, 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 patriotic, all that stuff. I hope you know what that means, but we don't comprehend nothing. And I tell people, religion has messed us up. I said, somebody getting paid. Because this ain't complex, somebody getting paid. And when I say paid, I mean, I'm just using it, but this is what's going on, because this is not hard. 1828 Webster Dictionary say the American is a copper color racist. Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15 says you got a right of a nationality and a right to change it, and the claim of child replaces the birth certificate, and no one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality and the right to change it. Man, people don't even really know the real context of the SF 181 form in context. How I know? Because ain't nobody talking about it. They'll laugh and kiki about it as adults. And then people in high places, they be like, oh yeah, they just playing. They be like, they just playing. This is the stuff we don't talk about. We worried about a whole bunch of things that's meaningless. I say, dude, if you have to be accounted for, and they say fill all out pertaining to you, you have to know who you are. And if you a body of people, you have to know where you at on these documents. You there. This what people don't, they be losing their mind. I be like, dude, you missing it. I tell brother, I say, you missing it. Why? Because you're not sure of who you are. I tell people, I say, you're not sure. What's our nationality? What's our race? What's our status? If you say what our status is, which I know everybody gonna say the status, then now I got to go to the next level. So what's our status? See, I ain't talking about nobody else. It don't matter. This is the thing. What's our status? If you say you're studying more science, because if you say you don't agree, then what would you tell me then? Because I want to be enlightened. What's our status? Anybody, just tell me. Because this shouldn't be hard for all the bays. Yeah, I know my Mufti. Yeah, of course. Lamar, we on TikTok too. Yeah, we got a gang. We got a lot of people here, but I want to see if a lot of these bays that be knowing or should know. These is simple things. So when I be asking brother, and they say, "Oh yeah, I study at this temple and all this and that," and then I'll be like, "Well, why are you not standing? Like, what's the problem?" I want to see do anybody else say it on here, Lamar. That's what I'll be saying. I'll be like, wait a minute. I'll be like, how? Well, what did, if nationality and all this is order of the day, well, how you disagree? Brother Bay, what do the Moors say? They nationality, race, and status as a Moor. What do Moors say their status is? If you say, because Moorish science is the Moorish Quran, but in this concept, what Moors always profess things. Because now you can say that Moors, they all believe in different things. And I say, well, how? Based off what? And so no one on here is saying the simple thing or answering it yet. Noble Lamar. That's all I ask people. I say, what do Moors say their status is based off teachings? That's all I'm asking. Because I'm not, like I said, I'm not the end of authority. I can stand corrected. But if you say what I think you're gonna say, If you say what I think you should say, or what I can say, okay, then I hope you understand where you should be able to come to the next part of what I'm gonna answer. So what do more say their status is? My noble Lamarck on my Facebook page, he answered like, and like I said, this should be simple things. And that's why sometimes I'll be saying we can't agree to agree. It takes humility to admit you don't want and be willing to learn. Exactly, Lamarck. Exactly. That's what my Mufti said. Man, gratitude for the wisdom. He said it takes humility to admit you don't want and be willing to learn. And that's what a lot of people don't want to do. They'll stand on something that's wrong and they'll take you in a burning house right with them. If a person say yes, well, yeah, our status is, which I'll be waiting for more to say, and then they'll be mute because they don't want to admit what it is. That's another one too, Noble Malik. And we should admit we don't know. Because if a person don't know, and it's 20 people in the room or 100 people in the room, and when the person asking the question and you don't say nothing, I say, well, a person should be able to say it just like you did, and have the confidence to say it, have the confidence to explain it. This is all I'm saying. I ain't talking to a group of people that don't know, because we can enlighten people and things and educate people on these things. But I'm talking about those that have and those that profess things. When we breaking some basic principles down, or some basic schoolmasters, when I talk about what do our 101 say, a prophet and an angel, that should be simple. Breaking our map down, that should be simple. Breaking down our Declaration Proclamation, that should be simple. What I'm saying, nothing is complex. If people don't have this basic schoolmaster, and brothers that operate under more science can agree, and we can't agree to disagree. If we can't agree on these basics, that's the foundation. In architecture, our foundation got to be right. If we can't even sit down and come to an agreement on the foundation, man, they're going to issue, and we can't go no further. You see, because we won't admit that we don't know. And then if you do say what I think you're going to say, then I'm going to say, well, can you explain it? And if you can't explain it, then that's an issue as well. Just like my noble said, comprehension. And I say, well, I tell a person, okay, you got there, tell me how you got there. Put it in a capstone, and you will get mad. Why? Because you didn't go there. Somebody told you. You were a charlatan. This is what I say in our culture, that we diss academia and we diss scholarship. And I said that's the psychosis of that. We go out of our neighborhoods and make sure we don't have no pistol per se. But when we're in our community, we got to make sure we strap. When I be home in my city, people be hitting me up like, Sheik, you good? You good in your city? Yeah, I'm good. I deal with a lot of people, and I say, we're the only group of people that don't celebrate our own people. We're the only group of people, when I'm asking brothers that identify under the science, won't even say they don't know. That's the only way we can get to understand it. When I tell people about Negro, Black, and color, and African American, and all misnomers, and all those are synonymous to slaves, that's the only way we can educate our children. How? Because the adults have to understand, and we can't. And I tell people, man, we have to understand these things. The science that I talk about, I don't let me be in the more mess up anything that I do. Or more is my nationality, is my race per se, my status, who I am, who I identify. The ish on more is what I do. Now we can break down the etymology of certain things in all different language. We can spell more a plethora of ways, because it was spelled a plethora of ways. But when I talk about science and understanding, once again, I always ask my brothers that have these bays behind their name, when I talk about the specifics of nationality, if nationality is the order of the day, person still can't answer it. So how can you be confident in anything else? Because I don't care about your religion, long as you understand. Because monotheism and all certain signs and symbols, when I break it down, which I've already done a plethora of times, that's why I'll be laughing. It's like, how can anybody be on here disagreeing with me? I say, well, a person that didn't watch me forever, they should be like, man, you should go watch something prior before you get the wrong conception of who this brother is. You totally off on some biased stuff. It's just like if you came to one of my lectures. If you came to my lecture and I'm talking about, and I say what misnomers are, and I say things that's synonymous to slaves, and I talk about the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, and I start using references, and I tell you what an American is, the copper color race is found here by Europeans, and then I start proving a lot of stuff is pseudo from academia. If I start showing you what the doctrine of discovery is, religious. If I start showing you what the dumb diverses is, religious. If I start showing you the Jewish slave trade per se, or when all we talk about these things, you would be like, well, damn. Or the Islamic slave trade, you would be like, dang. Because we clearing things up. Carter G. Woodson already told people the miseducation of the NEGRO. We the only group of people that when brothers go get wisdom and understanding and bring things back to our community, it be frowned upon, and we be stuck with all the off-balance ministers. When I say off balance, y'all know what I'm talking about. We be stuck with those that took an oath, that won't come teach the truth. Why? Because they take a check. We should be put the people on and say, no, this is the spiritual house we got to go to. Why? Because we giving our money to Uncle Sam. We can support something that's real and be owners. This is what I tell people. We stuck with all the sideway people. And that's what I'm saying. We stuck with all the sideway people. All our science and everything is caricature stuff. Everything is planned. There's no seriousness. And when you have a person that's anointed and consecrated and from the hood that grew up like you, and we don't even have to glorify that, man, the psychosis of us, that's the conspiracy to destroy misnomer, BLACK, boys and girls. Kwanzaa Kunjufu was 100% right. How? I keep telling this. All you got to do, I lectured about this. I did a whole research. I did a whole case study on it. He wrote a whole series of it. The conspiracy to destroy, BLACK, boys and girls. All parents should read it. Because education is frowned upon in our community. And when a person that look like you, that from that same area you are, that ain't have to dribble no basketball, Tyrone, even I was good with that. I was good with martial arts. I showed y'all all the trophies. Demano, my baby brother, was efficient in those things. Everybody ain't the same. Circumstances happen. But what I'm telling us as a people, we can't frown upon brothers that have the keys to help us and resurrect us and restore us. We need that. And most of where all y'all people going, when I say y'all, I'm saying us as a whole, man, most of your family go to church. If they not Muslims, because if you are more, tell me what temple you go to. Tell me what temple you go to. So that's all I'm saying. So all I be telling people, we done got misconstrued over what more science is. Brothers and sisters, watch videos. And when crazy people say things on social media, then they be like, you heard what he said about Noble Drew Ali? Man, nobody got time for all that goofy stuff. Y'all know I've been telling y'all what this science is about. Noble Drew Ali ain't plagiarized nothing. Alicia is Levi was the transcriber. This is when I say education and wisdom. Noble Drew Ali gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared. So we always give wisdom and understanding to people outside of ourselves. You may hear people say, well, such and such married this person in this time. Then I say, well, what's the common law in that time? I'll tell a person, your grandma married your granddad when she was 13, and people be pissed. And I'll be like, I bet you in certain areas, I bet you if I ask your mom and family, they'd be like, yeah, Kari, you right. And I'll be like, I know. Because in certain areas, that was common. In certain generations, that was common. Can't get on here and tell me no different. I know people that married their first cousins in certain part of the country. So don't get on here and act like no and this, and that, and the other when you don't know certain things and certain dispensations, especially when I'm talking about common law in certain areas and a certain time period when people were marrying. With no disrespect. I'm just talking about basic things as a people that we should say, wait a minute. The only way to get from point A to point B is what? This way. Especially if we say we Moors. And then when I ask people, what's your nationality? What's your race? What's your status? People can't even agree. I'll be like, man, I just asked you. People got these L's and these B's on their name. And I said, well, what's your nationality? Moorish, okay. Well, what's your race? You should know clearly. What's your status? You should know clearly. Now, the status part, That should make a person ears ring. Because if you don't know it, and then when you sign certain things, like what's been put in front of you, a job, when they ask your race and all that, or we'll say the SF 181 form, most people that got L on their name, you're gonna fill it out wrong. But people are trying to be smart and say, well, I'm gonna put a box and put other. That ain't no option. You avoid the whole contract. And I'll be telling people, you have to know who you are. If you take the time to read, or a lot of time people don't read things. A lot of time people just, whoa, I see, when you see certain things, your eye have a stigma. When you see certain things, you've been trained to say, oh, you Negro, Black, and color, African American. So whatever else on there, you ain't even gonna give it the time of the day to read. You're gonna go right to what you've been programmed to. I know this. I already know the psychosis. I done this a plethora of times. Can't nobody say, well, no, I do this. Nope. The other option, people be saying they're gonna pick a box and pick other. So I'll be telling people the first thing you gotta do is be honest. If you can't do that, no help can be done. If you're an alcoholic, you got to ask for help and got to accept the help. And when we wrong, I'll be like, dude, we won't even admit we wrong. I ask Morris this all the time. They be with their chest out. Oh, I'm such and such, L this and all this. And I say, okay, well then, well, why are we? Well, we agree to disagree. How? This ain't what we ain't talking about. Is it hot or cold to you? We ain't arguing that, or do you like this or like that? We ain't talking about a subjective and objective in this context. That ain't what we doing in this context. In this context, I say, if you say you are more and you studying with science and you understand who you are, I say, what's your nationality? Everybody know that my nationality Moorish American. My nationality Moorish American. Okay, what's your race? You should know. What's your status? Now, when we get to the status part, what are we saying? When you fill out for any job, because you don't got your own land, you got a car, you got a house, everything. So when you filled out all the paperwork for your job, what you fill out? I bet you, be honest, and you feel Black. You from NIGGA land. So don't get up here and say you don't. I'm talking about people be having these L's on their name. They talk all that stuff. And I say, okay, let's see what's inside match the outside. Let me see how you sign. And I bet you sign as a, you know what? You can't sit up here and tell them you don't. When you get a job, when you get anything, and they got Negro, Black, color, white, Hispanic, Asian, all those things, and you don't read white, and then I ask you what's your nationality, Moorish American. I ask you what's your race. You say you agree Asiatic. I have to explain that. People like, we ain't Asian. I say, man, dude, I can add on that, but we just being basics. And then I ask, what's your status? So once I ask you your status, and you tell me what I will hope you would say your status is, and then you fill out another way, am I wrong or are you wrong? Because I know brothers and sisters don't have the confidence. You can't sit up here and tell me, I bet you how you had your kids fill out. I bet you on your insurance card. I bet you all that. I bet you didn't annex your L in the Bay to Pooh Diddley. You can't sit up here and tell me you have. Why? Because you're afraid. I was just talking about this, the difference from a living trust and the will and all this. And people from a lack of knowledge, they'll try to argue with me when the other man will be like, y'all ain't even listen to what this man's saying. He trying to avoid you from going probate. This man help you with your paperwork. This man just like a person that got your best interest. If you go into courts and things, I ain't telling you not to get an attorney or a lawyer. I'm giving you precedent in law case, doc number, free information that. I'm gonna tell you the quid pro quo. I'm gonna tell you the Chicago Law Review. Why? Because that's my profession. So once again, when I be asking brothers and sisters, I said, this science that I teach, which is a unity for brothers and sisters, no matter what you believe in, you must understand. How can you sit up here and say that if you study the science of more science, I don't care whatever else you're saying, I'm not arguing with no one. I'm talking about to be a people. I don't care if you say, well, more of the white this. I'm not saying that. I say, okay, well, the name we gave ourselves was Amazigian. Then you look that up. So we not gonna play semantics to know with that neither. What I'm saying is, if you operating with the science that I'm operating with, or can explain, or have a fair amount of understanding, and if you have people on here that have L's and B's after their name, which a lot of people that follow me, I ask you, what's your nationality? You would say Moorish American. I ask you what your race is. You would say, I would, from your teaching, you would say, what, Asiatic, right? Now then, I would ask you what your status is, right? Come on, and that's what I be saying more. And then you'll be like, I hope you'll say free white. If you say, well, no, well, I don't know. I said, so do you understand what the context of what I'm saying free white is? When I talk about your status as free white, do you understand what I'm saying? If you don't understand that, then you have to say that. You just can't make no things up arbitrarily and then try to make people roll with that. Thank you, Empress. And that's all I'll be telling people. I said, I bet you I can get Empresses on here, and they agree. That's why I said I can deal with my Empresses, because I never got disrespect from no Empress, especially Empresses that single moms. They be like, well, we need men like you. Once they look up my background and they say I'm from the hood, I already told you I lost my baby brother killed Jelani Goodman Bay that looked just like me. I lost a lot of my friends to murder from the city of Flint. I'm one of the lucky ones. This is what I be telling people, and I went and got the education. Like, I'm one of the lucky ones. It was my baby brother's birthday yesterday, the 22nd. When did I get here? Wednesday? Yeah, I just flew here from one of my residents in Arizona. It was my baby brother's solar return. I keep all that in me, but I have to release it. That's what I be telling people. I said, the world our culture need men like me, but we get those miseducated men that frowned upon this wisdom. Like we all got to be the same type of goofy, you know what? And that's why we lost. Thank you, Empress. So this when I be telling people, I said, man, come on, people don't know what people be having. I said, we ain't kids no more. And so when I be telling people, when I tell a lot of my people, I said, no, y'all don't know. I said, man, I done a lot. I'm responsible for a lot of people. I done wrote a lot of books. I'm from the same place you are. Who do you know that we say, man, I went and got a dual bachelor's degree and a dual master's degree, moved to Arizona, opened up his own temple in the school, wrote 15 books, was on the news for dealing with autistic kids and all that. No, he have expertise. I just got another license in a specific type of counseling. Like, why is that frowned upon? Why we all got to be the same type, a basketball player, a rapper? Why we can't have diversity? I'm asking people why we can't have a brotherhood. I be knowing people, man, if I told y'all a lot that I know, I say, when I tell a lot of my people that I be around, my friends I grew up with, I said, a lot of us are not the same anymore. Why? Because a lot of things that I'm a part of, I want to bring my brothers into a part of it, but they're not into those things. A lot of my brothers not into the science, you know? But when I talk about a specific training, another piece of education that's good and mentoring is when I talk about eye movement, desensitization, and reprogramming. And any empresses on here that got kids, you can just look up EMDMR training. And that's what helped Lil Jon, you know? And someone said, do I believe I'm not from Africa? It ain't, brother. What do you mean? Do I believe if I believe I'm not from Africa? Like you have to, when you ask those type of questions, I understand the generality of things when you say per se, but what do you mean when you say, do you believe you're not from Africa? I just said, I know where I'm from. I know where the first one, all that. We say Africa per se, continent. I get all that. But I'm saying a person we can't argue over this. And the world is big. It's some people, you got the ancient and modern Britons, you know? Yeah, they are and then just like the nine, this is what you use in elementary. These are two tools. A circle and a square both have 360 degrees, just different parameter. These are things that you use in elementary. These are elementary tools. Just like when I talk about supreme Hika and mathematics and the nine, like these are two tools in elementary. These are two tools in elementary to circumscribe what the word. When I tell people the circle and the square both have 360 degrees, just different parameter. Like this, what I say, dude. I said I have all love and respect for people, but that's what we we shouldn't do. We shouldn't be challenging things because like I said, I done been there, and it's almost like, and I'm not saying you doing that. It's almost like insulting a person, and then when the person say, "Well, hey man, whoa, whoa, whoa," and then the person will say, "I don't mean it like that." You know, that's what I'm saying. You know, I understand like Morocco per se is Africa and other and certain things. That's what I'm telling people. But I'm not going to let a person say, "Well, your family, you from Africa, we all came over here on the boat." No, that ain't no. And scholarship, it is not. I'm not going to let no one say that because we can deal with scholarship. That's why I say I only have scholarship conversations. I'm not going to argue over nobody's perspective. If your kid was going for world history and everything, you would want your kid to be. You would want your kid to be a pupil of mine. I'm sure you would, because they would want to be. They'll be like, "Dad, why are you arguing him?" They're like, "Well, that's just how you believe." They're like, "But that ain't the history. That ain't the research, Dad." That's why if we was taking philosophy of religion and a person, and I say, "Well, yeah," he said, "Well, my God say I can move that mountain," and I say, "Well, then the philosophy of religion will go out there and move that mountain, and you can't do it. You're gonna be mad at me?" And this is what I be telling people. Per se, no, we ain't all from no Africa. No, if I can show you the ancient and modern Britons, if I can give you a scholar, Bertrand Thomas, his books about the African, I can show you things. If I can give you a Dyer book, what the if what the hey, if I can give you a Dyer book, and I can show you things that was here in the Americas. I ain't talking about no Africa. I get what a person is saying per se, but I ain't talking about David McRitchie, the ancient and modern Britons. I ain't dissing that. I ain't dissing that either. You said, you asked me if from Africa. I ain't dissing nothing. But if a person that say they from Britain and never been to the continent of Africa, are they African? Did they come from a certain area and put here? That's why I say the world big. I'm not gonna tell nobody who they are, and you know your family crest and your coat of arms. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna have no conversation on that because I know people. Just like when I talk about the Corsica flag, where's Corsica? See this when when a person, like I said, we have to agree to things, scholarship. So when I ask a person, where's Corsica? And when I started talking about Brunette and Swarty, but where's Corsica? So I understand people be having things. It's a word called Sudoku. I deal with a lot of brothers like this all the time. They'll say, "Yep, I got this, I got this." And then I say, "Well, what I'm talking about is in a book you have." It's a phrase called Sudoku. Just collecting things. Now, I'm not saying you do that and never have, because if a person have everything that I'm talking about and Sheikh Anta Diop books and all that stuff, I'm not disagreeing with what a person's saying, but I'm saying scholarship reference, you can be like, okay, it's people from here, and all that. Why? Because that's what it shows. Hell, even when you talk about Lewis and Clark, they even pinpointed their markings. That's why I can tell you if it was different. This stuff ain't hard. It's book called The Negro Question, Volume 1 and all this stuff, Volume 2. When I talk about Judah, had different names, Abir, Ortega. When a person be saying all this in Africa, and I say, well, what been in all this, I say, I ain't disagreeing, but I can illuminate you on something. That's what be happening. We be getting caught up in the thing because we want to argue. And the person say, well, I got that. I said, well, how you have something? And then what I'm trying to explain, what I'm trying to illuminate is writing what you have. So a person have to admit that they ain't researched nothing that they have, that they got, but they have it. Sudoku. And I'm not saying you doing that. That's why I'm saying I know how we do. And when I talk about that back to Africa again, that Bloomback stuff, and we are from Africa context. And that's why I use Harold Colander. And when they talk about that root stuff, and I say Alex Haley plagiarized that back to Africa stuff from a European named Harold Colander. And they use that to get people in that back to African stuff. So a person can come with their original. I say, man, I'm not here to argue with no one. I ask a person, what is the Corsica flag and where is Corsica? That's all I ask the person. I ain't here to argue with no one. When you break certain things down, the person have to be honest and be like, well, damn, I didn't know. And that's what I'm saying. It's just like if we get the truth and we find some things and we so gung ho on what we own, we'll bury our people down like that. And that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to tell my brothers and sisters clearly, if anyone listening, I'm not saying it's not a group of people or some people from this area. I'm not saying that. All people are not from a certain area. If you can get research and proof and a person say they got this book and that book where it's clearly telling you where the hell they from, that's all I'm saying. And why should that be an argument? I said, what is the Corsica flag? See, that'd be hard for me. Like I said, I'm asking specific question, Brother Bay, and we stay on that. And that's what I said. We can't stay in context. And that ain't, I understand what person is saying. I said, I understand Supreme Hika. I ain't disagree with that. The 9, the Eye of Horus, all those are symbols in different crafts. Like, I'm not saying this. That ain't what we talking about. What we're talking about is you talk about, we saying all people are from Africa. And I said, yeah, per se. And I use references to show where that back to Africa came from scholarship. And the person say they have all those books that I quoted. Oh, man. Well, see, hey, I ain't saying you backtracking now. I'm not saying you backtracking, but everybody knows that's what we were saying. With all due respect, I'm not saying you are. Babe, I might watch this. A person, if you look like me, you from Africa. Okay, so what if I don't look like you? And I'm from South Africa? Because I know a lot of South Africans that don't look like you. They pale in the mud. You don't, and that's why I tell people, you don't know what blood running in that person. Just like Frank Bruno that fought Mike Tyson. Where was he from? Was Frank Bruno from Africa? If you sat down with Frank Bruno right now, and Frank Bruno will know his family crest is coat of arms, and Frank Bruno say, "No, I'm not from Africa. I wasn't born in Africa. I'm a Briton." You gonna argue with Frank Bruno, or you gonna say, "Well, you still African?" Yeah, you can say that, and that's what I be saying. If you look like, that's why I be telling people. I say, "Well, I understand that, but I'm not here to argue with no one." That's what I'll be telling us, the psychosis of us as brothers. Ah, man, we get that. Africa have many looks. Every place on this landmass has many different looks because people tarried and came to and fro. So everybody might have different phenotypes. You know what I mean? So all areas, people and families, they have different phenotypes. Everything, but that I can't say what type of blood or how less blood of this type or not that type of be going in a person's blood by me just looking at them. I'm not going to do that and be naive. I'm not going to do that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it from the double-edged perspective, See, that's what I be telling us, man. That's why we remove certain people from things because we can't even get ourselves right. We can't even get ourselves right. And that's what I say. A lot of people, we continue to promulgate the same thing. That's what we do. I said, that's a sad thing. That's why I said that's a sad thing, man. That we bang on. I told y'all that we bang on that back to Africa stuff. That's why what Brother Bay said, if you know all this, why argue? Go do you, and teach that. That's what I be telling people. I be like, man, people be losing their marbles. That's why I say that ain't what we teach. That back to Africa. So I told y'all people would promulgate that because of lack of knowledge. Well, Brother Bay said, if you know all this, why argue? Go do you and teach that. That's what I be telling these brothers, Brother Bay. I said we be lost. And I just talk about the psychosis of us when we teach some back to Africa stuff to get our people, to get everybody so caught up on that. And I said, we just talking about some things as understanding science to resurrect people as a people on paper. Because if you down with reparations, which I'm down with reparations, but no one, no Negro, Black, or colored African American is never going to get no reparations by identifying to words that's synonymous to slave. You know? And this is what the problem our brothers and sisters be having. I said, dude, you know that back to Africa stuff from scholarship, you have to know that that's not valid by now. If you still promulgating that like it's something wrong. I'm talking about today, brothers and sisters, not arguing. I said, we don't know. Because I ain't arguing with nobody religion, because most people on here go to church. You can be the gangsterest person on here. I bet you go to church because you don't go to no mosque. So we can forget all that. I'm talking about one nationality and many cultures. What was taken from misnomer Black people enduring slavery, per se, your nationality and your spirituality. This is what I'm telling people. And identifying as some Negro, Black, some color, some African American Africans from Africa don't even promulgate that African crap. With all due respect. With all due respect. And people that's here, me and a so-called African, we don't look alike. With all due respect. I know South Africans don't even, when you say, I know South Africans that's European per se. Hell, Anglo-Saxon, whatever you want to say. Albion, whatever we want to say, whatever. This is the context what I'll be saying. I'll be telling y'all, if nationality the order of the day, and we who we are as brothers and sisters we got to stop talking things that's meaningless and come to an agreement. I'm not going to be on here with no discussion with nobody from Africa or African that want to argue. My message ain't for you unless you understand. I don't want to go to the continent of Africa. I'll visit, but I don't want to move there. With all due respect. I have that right. So now, as an American, when I'm trying to illuminate my brothers and sisters, when I say, dude, you got to know this, fam. Because if you say I'm an African American, I'm Black and all that, I say, well, then you just admit out your mouth that you are SLAVE. I'm telling you. And you will say it don't matter. I said, yes, it do. I said, if something happened to you or your child, they're going to say another BLACK, like they doing with this. I could say way more, but I don't want to get flagged. Man, the energy, I want to keep it 100. The energy with us is off. That's why I said our energy all off. I don't give a damn what nobody say. Our energy off with each other and with what's being promulgated and with us understanding who we are. Because if we still out here, y'all calling ourselves Negro, Black, or color, African American, that means we really calling ourselves slaves. I promise you, because I'm down with reparations. I hope you down with reparations. But no misnomer Black person ever got no compensation for being no slave. Only ever in history was the other man. I promise you. I be telling people things. I said, you don't want to investigate this when people that ain't into this and ain't part of what we doing to build our own nation. I say, look what the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15 is. That should be so powerful for a brother that ain't into the science. Just that little simple thing, like the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, you should look that up. The next question I ask the person, when you fill something out for a job or a credit card or a loan, and they say Asian, something else, and white, but then if you read, you got to read everything. It said check all pertaining to you, but you say you know everything. You say you BLACK, you proud, I'm a Christian, and all that, which you can be whatever you want, but that's what you get. Because back in the day, when the misnomer black man thought he can be free, when he thought he was going to be a Christian and he thought he could take that to the courts, you were nothing but a BLACK Christian, SLAC, SLAVE. No disrespect. No disrespect. So once again, brothers and sisters, do you know that we're not going to get no reparations identifying as things that's synonymous to slaves? You know that, right? So why isn't no one teaching that? When we say we the BLACK this, and when I look up and I tell you what silver mortis is, that's dead in the eyes of the law. Because remember, black had no standing in law. In first century, black was not used to describe ethnicity. I tell y'all, I'm like, I know what I'm saying. So why would we attach to things that's synonymous to slaves today? You put dead in front of you. Well, I don't want to use these words because I might get flagged. I got to spell it out for you. I hope you can spell. Put DEAD in replace of BLACK. That's all you got to do. And so when something happened to a kid or something, they put that stigma on it. Well, don't y'all know police, most people in the records and in the archives, they have immunity when they take out an animal, which they call a BLACK person. I'm telling you, the Europeans wrote a book called the NEGRO, a beast. I'm trying to tell y'all, but we ain't came together to bring things together and treat it just like when the other man do it, because we don't know. And so we get put in a category as having no unalienable so-called rights, not having life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is what I tell my brothers and sisters. Why? Because we operating on something on paper that's synonymous to slaves. We done got caught up with that 14th Amendment. Well, if the 13th Amendment is supposed to free everyone, there's no need for the 14th Amendment. See, these are the things that we got to know, because we got these people on here that's not operate under the right science. They play those games. That's what the no disrespect, but the Negro Mason will do. With all disrespect, they be like some Amos and Andy people. It'd be like some Amos and Andy stuff, you know? I'd be like, man, I hear, I don't know Amos and Andy stuff. I'll be telling people a lot of questions that you can ask me. People be having a smartphone right in their hand. This is what I be telling people. I say, you have your smartphone in your hand. So if it's certain things that we want to know, we can say, well, is this valid? Is this? If we can build on things. That's why I say, I give you things to build upon. We're not here to have, like my noble brother Bay said, we're not having a test. We shouldn't be in that. I'm giving out, if you was taking the class or any class of mine, sometimes I wouldn't give you the answer. I would show you how to find the answer. I would say, well, then, do you have your smartphone or do you have XYZ? If I'm teaching your child, I would say, well, ask that, let's do the research. And then you can bring that research back to me and we can have what? A discourse. And then we can use it in a sentence. Or we can do the etymology. Those are the next level of things. This is what I tell people. I say, it's a collective, but people don't be wanting to do the work. You know, and I said, hey, when you get in trouble, the first thing you do is go pay a lawyer. If you don't have the money, you get a court-appointed attorney and you plead to a lesser charge. What I'm telling people, once again, is we should know some things. G.I. Joe said, learning half the battle today as a people, no matter what you think you believe. If you under the banner of Christianity, I hope you understand. If you under the banner of whatever it is, I hope you understand it. If you're under the banner of moral science, I hope you understand. Whatever you under, I hope you understand. So-called Egyptology, whatever, I hope you understand. Even if you are atheist, I hope you know what an atheist means, because I do. So after all these things, I don't care if you were in a Greek fraternity or you were Prince Hall Mason or all those things. At the end of the day, if brothers ain't willing to do like I'm doing and stand on it, because most of our people go to the church and say, no, I can teach the truth, regardless if it fill up a room or clear it out. Because most of the people on here went to church. And I say the Bible talks about the lying preachers. The Bible says, woe to you lying preachers. Research it for yourself. Research it for yourself. The Ecclesiastes chapter 10, it says, wine is made for laughter, but money trumps all. Read it. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19. And this is what I tell people. I said, what was our language before slavery? Research it. People spoke plenty languages. Bantu, Yoruba, I don't know, whatever your vernacular is, whatever your dialect was. It wasn't no specific language. I tell people Africa had a different plethora of names depending on the term that the people use. Akibalan, that's why I tell people. I say, if depending on your vernacular, if you spoke Bantu, Yoruba, etc., that's the vernacular you're going to use. So when a person say, what is the proper? What was our language before slavery? Whatever dialect that you spoke. That's what it is. When I say we didn't have no specific dialect. So when people come to that, I say, man, I already done been there. That's why I said that this is no urinating contest. As I said, as my noble brother Bay said, I said, I've been there. When a person say, well, what was our language before slavery? What tribe was you are? You know, I can't tell you that. You said, what was our language? What was our language before? You said, I'm acting sincerely and I'm answering sincerely. Now, you might not like my candor. That's why I tell people, I teach in a specific way. If you know me, you'll know that man coming from straight love. I don't deal with fluff. That's when I tell people I've been there. I've been battle tested by other people and professors that want you to quit and all that because they BSing and they coming from their religious perspective. So I welcome it on social media. I'm just matter factual and I'm an elder. I don't have nothing to hide. So when a person asks me, well, what was our language before slavery? I say, well, I tell a person, I say, man, we spoke many dialects, depending on your tribe, depending on your tribal language. You have to tell me that. Just like Gullah, I'll give you an analogy like this. My family from Florida, and when just like kumbaya, when you get the lexicon, kumbaya, it don't mean come by here. It means stand up and arise. And when a person says slaves, and I'll use a certain language from a certain people, they may speak in a Gullah language or style. Or if you, a Berber per se, or Bantu, or other different vernaculars. Because I just said Africa, or not Africa, but Africa had different names. Israel had a plethora of different names, depending on the vernacular. So that's why when I say when I'm dealing with my people, I have to be anal like that. Why? Because I tell people to get to the level that I was going through academia and being who I am, a melanated person, I have to be matter factual, where I don't play with the other man, the Anglo-Saxon. I'm not gonna play. Like I said, I know they all Scottish Rite Masons, and my association is higher than that. I'm under the triple rose. I'm 99 degrees. The ancient rite of Memphis and Mizraim. No disrespect. I'm transparent. I'm not a snowman. I'm not buried in no shallow grave. I'll show you who Jabal, Jablum, and Jabil is, and I'll talk about Haram Abif to show you certain things and why a lot of things are not shared with you, because I tell everybody this is a brotherhood. I teach brotherhood. That's what this is about. I teach clear understanding. I ain't argue with my brothers and sisters or promulgate no message. That's not freedom. Because when you operate to something as Negro, Black, and color, or African American, those words are synonymous to slaves. You got to remember, I already broke some down. I said everybody wants slaves. Were there certain slaves when we deal with history, when we do things? Yes. Yes, it was. But we know in history, if we're going to do things the right way and build each other up as brothers and sisters, we got to show people that, no, we all ain't come over here on no boat, that's no slaves. Like, and this is the science that I teach my brothers. We need this. The kids need this, because you see what we up against. You see that we was against, and when we do, and then I know people will come from a perspective, especially if they did Wikipedia. You know, we can go with stats and all the ships that a person to say, and we did with all the numbers. You do none of the numbers add up. And I tell people I already did it from love. I said all a person got to do is I get some stuff where it's in a book called The One World Tartarians. I forget the author. It'll come to me. If you don't have it, I have all this stuff converted to ebooks. I email it to you, and then you can study it for yourself, and then we can come back and we can have more dialogue. I can get you this book by, I forget the brother name. It's called The Negro Questions. And I'll give you volume 1. And I'll let you read that for a minute. If you academic, or how can you stay and adapt way of thinking. And then I guarantee you, once you get the information, you'll be like, oh, you will stand corrected. Because I know a lot of times sometimes people will do a Wikipedia search, and sometimes I know how things go. And I'm not saying a person is doing that, but it's so much information and things that we have to get out of that debating with each other and get out of and get to uplifting. And like my brother Bay said, if we always combative and always trying to come back with something, then I think, well, you should be teaching that. That's all I tell people. I tell a person, I said, well, if you know all this, well, I think you should take the audacity and the withdrawal to put your money where your mouth is and teach your people. I'm not saying you or nobody on here like that, but I always tell people. And then when a lot of times you say it seems that those Africans mixed with indigenous people, I promise you, a lot of times when we think about that graft and things, because we coming from a perspective, I bet you I can show you some records that were taken all the way back when we say, well, this happened because it was the mix of this and that and the other. And I say, well, yes and no. Because then that'll have to I'll be building on a whole nother subject matter. Just like when I talk about when people say the gypsies and it's not the same. And when I show you in scholarship, they say you were black as the gypsies. And when I start showing things in connection, you'll be like, well, damn, these are the same people and this blah, blah, blah. And they didn't mix with a certain people. And a lot of things we'll say, well, we got this from a mixture or from a grafting. And I say, no, not in a certain dispensation. I have to say no. From scholarship. And it's not an argumentative thing, which I tell people, I say, in scholarship and in academia, you have to deal with multiple research. Once you deal with that multiple research, now it's time to dissect the research. Now it's time to reference the research. So now we're looking at the time period, how the words was written, where the stats at, across the board, during the time. It's a lot of work before you come out and say, matter factually, from XYZ, I'm this is what it is. And sometimes we can't do that. That's all I'm saying. Do that make me better than you? No. That make me what? Sharp. Just like if I was defending you in your best interest and you get in trouble and you say, bro, are you feeling ready to read a contract and you in entertainment and it's a 400-page contract and that's my thing, reading contracts, and I can read that contract and I can say, hey man, this word here, you don't need this. Why? Because this word means you just getting advance and it's a certain vernacular that's in there. They're like, man, you just getting advance. It's just like if you get a mortgage and you don't know the interest rate. I know a lady got a 19% interest rate on a $100,000 house. I tried to help her before she got it. I said, man, you're going to pay $560,000 at the end of this crazy mortgage. Most people, when they get a mortgage, a $100,000 mortgage, you're paying $350,000, $360,000. How I know? And then when you pay for it, you don't own it. You can't get mad at me and say, well, this is what people do. Yes, I do. I own my house. And I say, don't pay your property taxes. Don't play with me like that. Nobody's stuff is protected because we don't understand about trust. And we argue with me, that's something that's my expertise, because you don't know and you don't protect your assets. And that's what we'll do. And I use that as a term and a phrase, sending our own people into a burning house, because we should want to know. And if we have somebody that should know, we got to go to that person and know and give them homage. Why? To make sure our affairs in line, mentally, spiritually, and physically, and historically. Everything else don't matter. And when people don't know, and they'll try to sit up here and tell me that, well, man, well, this mean this. And I said, dude, no, it don't. That mean litigation. You know what litigation mean is? That mean probate. That mean court. The courts don't have no say-so over you and your thing. If you understand what I'm saying and you operate in a certain way, you just don't know that and you don't have the confidence. And so what? You bow or you submit to what? If you don't know this, then you must submit to this. I'm telling you what it is. And once we know, we're supposed to bring this back to our people and do things the right way. And we won't do that. People that sit up here and argue with me, well, we all from Africa, and we African Americans and all this, nothing and the other. And I said, well, ain't no African American and nothing like that. You're going to get no reparations. I ask you, is you down with reparations? The first thing you would say is yeah. And then I say, well, identifying as something that's synonymous to slaves is never going to get you no reparations. No matter how passionate you feel about that, family. So why would we willingly out our mouth identify to something that's synonymous to a slave? or even chattel slavery. All the dang old presidents wrote misnomer BLACK people, and they chattel as what? Chattel slavery. So why would you lynch your slavery? First time we heard about that is at the Million Man March. And I'm telling you, people, I love everyone, but when you come with something that I know is pseudo, I'm gonna stand on it. Ain't no such thing as no Willie Lynch. I go toe to toe with anybody that look like me, and they promulgate and they teach their kids some Willie Lynch and some roots. That's fallacy. That's that Bloomback. That's that Harold Colander stuff. That's that fake pseudo stuff. I'm not gonna promulgate that with no kid. I'm gonna tell the kids the truth, and that's what we be doing. Parents don't watch Roots so much, and then make videos talk about Kunta Kinte is their ancestors, and the other man, the Scottish Rite Masons, laughing. They like, it ain't any no such thing as no Kunta Kinte. And this what we and if this what they have Roots as a required reading in misnomer Black History School. Why? Class, because my Mufti Dantes L on here, if he get on here, he already done testified. And that's why he be, he don't be upset. He was like, man, Sheikh, the world needs you. He went to the museum out there in St. Louis, and everything I'll be talking about in class, it blew his mind. He said, they don't even teach this. And then they try to bury things with linguistics. I'm telling you. And like, that's why I'll be saying it's like, there's no way that we be with that African stuff that we're going to be synonymous to being a people. It's no way. I don't care how nobody feel about that. I don't care if you get Ben Crump. I don't care how you feel. That Negro, Black, and colored African American, with all due respect, that's the wrong vernacular we should be using. And this is the thing when I be saying people be asking stuff that's meaningless. And like when I be saying, watch this, brother, babe. I'm on YouTube. This person said, with all due respect, you asked it, I'm a speaker because I got other platforms up. Can you give a rough estimate of how many indigenous people were living in North America before Columbus? We ain't even talking about that. That's why I be saying context. With all due respect, no disrespect to you. I be like, dude, can we stay in context? We can't even do that because that's a simple thing. That's what I'll be saying. The person trying to test me with a question, that's an easy research. If you was asking me, I ain't just gonna say off the fly. That's easy research. You tell me. And this is what I'll be saying. I say a lot of our attention span is messed up. A lot of our attention span is messed up. And that's all I'll be saying with our brothers and sisters. I'll be like, man, context. We can't stay in context, brother, babe. We be all over the place. And then when they say, well, no disrespect, I'm serious. I ain't saying you weren't serious. And that's what I'll be telling people. I ain't saying you wasn't serious. You might be sincere, serious, want to know. I get that. But that's out of context. You have to agree with that too. You be like, any person that was there in this setting, if you was on another setting, they'd be like, bro, like, why are you doing that? People will be talking to you like, man, we're going to remove you with no disrespect. This is what I be telling people. And all of us to get to a certain place, we got to stay on subject matter. We can't be worrying about things that's really meaningless in the context that we're talking about. But True Divine 7, that's what we do. We all out of context. I'm talking about something specific. Right, brother Bay, like facts. I'm like, listen, I'm talking about specific things to freedom, to this, not the other, us specific today. I ain't talking about nothing back before Christopher Columbus. Or can I estimate roughly how many indigenous people were living in North America? That ain't what we talking about, with all respect. And that's why I be saying, I said, if you interested, tell me to research what you get. And then I can compare it to my research. How about you do that? And that's what I'll be telling people. I said, we talking about a specific thing, who we are as a people. That's why we talk about distractions, and distractions come from all places. Who are we as a people? Because if we down with reparations, then, because I'm down with reparations, I clearly said, no, we're not going to get no reparations identifying as an Negro, BLACK, or color. You say, yeah, I know it's in respect with your perspective. I know that. I know what you say, Brother Bay, milk for babies. They trying to eat too fast. And this is what he said. He said, it's in context with my previous question. I just said that. I said, yeah, your question ain't based on the context. Your previous question ain't based on the context. None of the questions that you said. If anybody, y'all, your brothers, come on my personal YouTube channel as well. For we can have debate. We got a little bit more time. Brother Bay, come on my YouTube channel as well, Brother Bay, for you can see this as well. This is what I got a different platforms up. And some of you, my college people and my professor, y'all can come on here too. Oh, he was like, yes. He like, what platform you on, Sheik? My YouTube channel. This is where this person asking all this. Yep, on my YouTube channel. And so one of the students said, he said, all your questions is out of context, sir. He said, everything you asking, Sheik, is out of context. He said, what do you say? All questions. He said, what do you say? What do you say? He said, all your questions on here is out of context. Every one. So how are you upset? I asked you got to get on there and ask him. He said, the audacity. I know. This what I be telling people. The audacity is like, you out of context. No matter if all your questions, no matter if you say, well, this question is a continuation of this question, and this question is a continuation of the question before. A person say, none of that matters. It's all out of context. That's all I be asking people. Context. Do we know what context is? And what we talking about, us as a people, like not using words that's synonymous to slaves. Talking about the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15. Talking about the SF 181 form, when you filling things out. I know I'm right, Brother Bay. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. This what I be telling people. I say, y'all come on these other platforms where people be saying, because people be having the audacity. I said, I'm talking about specific things. When I talk about filling things out, when I talk about the SF 181 form, and I say, well, do you know what it says? And the person say, well, I'm gonna feel black, or I'm gonna make a mark that says other. Why? And I said, what's your nationality? What's your race? And what's your status? All these other questions that a person asked me is irrelevant. It's like ADHD. I'm not saying nobody have that, but I'm saying that you out of context. And the person will be saying, well, we were off this question. And that's fine. But you still, no matter, you said, I was one of your students a few years back, and I'm aware of how deep you research. I just want to ask you a few things. Once again, brother, with all due respect, brother, you out of context. I get this. That's why I was saying sometimes we just don't back off and be like, you know what, you're right. This is what I say about going to a burning house. I always talk about the psychosis of our people. This is a form of that. And I'm not disrespecting no one. I say it is. I say, come on. It never was the topic. I'm talking about specifics, things that who we are. You know, and that's why I say tell people, just because you learn multiplication don't mean you get rid of mathematics. Some people got to go all the way back to elementary because they didn't get beside themselves. Like we can't stay on the topic. Like this is a debate. Like this is some conscious community stuff. I tell people this ain't it. If that's what you want to do, you got to do your own thing. This ain't it. This ain't no Sonetta TVs. This ain't no conscious community stuff. This ain't none of them platforms where they telling you this ain't none of this. We finna be arguing over some things that's meaningless and people still poor. And people still identifying as something that's synonymous to slavery. I don't get all the rest of that stuff. It's meaningless to me. I tell people this. I'm talking about right now, who we are as a people currently, how we identifying. Like we got to do things the right way on paper. This is what I'm telling people. And I'm saying, if you identify as a Negro, Black, and colored or African-American on paper, that's synonymous to slavery. That's what I'm talking about. I say, if you get anything that you filling out and you don't have the confidence to fill it out the right way, that's on you. It don't matter how many people, what people named before Columbus came here. That don't matter. You know, this is what I be telling people. That don't matter. You see what I be telling us? I said, family, we have to make sure we doing things the right way. I explained to people clearly, my message is current. Who are we as a people? We can talk to God stuff, but we made in the image of the Creator. My oral dissertation was I proved without a doubt that the misnomer black man was the father of civilization, proved by the Bible alone. You know, proved by the Bible alone. I'm not on here to tell nobody to believe in it, but I know when people use religion, no matter if it's Christian history or Islamic history, when I get to the root of it, and when I get into the Nabatan library, and when I show you a lot of stuff really be old Jewish writings, and a person would be upset, but you have to sit down and get the wisdom. When I give you the wisdom, you can compare and contrast. It's nothing you can say. It's nothing that no one can say, because it's a lot of things that I haven't talked about on here. But when people come from a religious perspective, that can be illuminated real fast with no problem. So if that's the case, I'm talking about who we are as a people, our nationality and our spirituality. And I'm telling my brothers and my sisters, we not Negro, Black, and color, and no African Americans. That's synonymous to slaves. We have to come together from the pulpit where the multiple of people are, and this be taught. I'm telling you, because I said, if we Moors, are we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood? Nobody said nothing. Everybody was on here quiet with all these L last names. And I say, well, if you are, then where you get that from? Because you ain't getting it from no Quran. And this is what I be telling people. I say, you ain't get that from no Quran. So you can't sit up here and say that. Why? You got a smartphone in your hand. So don't play semantics with me. And I be telling people, I say, ask your phone. You know? Because that's all people be doing is coming from base subject matter with me anyway. So I said, I'll give you base subject matter. How about that? You ain't get the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood from no Quran. But then I can show you Ibrahim in the Bible and the Quran. I can start showing you things the people lost on mistranslation or mistransliteration. That's what I illuminate. And then nobody can say nothing. This is what I'm telling us. We don't know who we are. Right now, I can ask everybody on here what kumbaya, what you were told kumbaya mean. I bet you everybody on here say it mean what? Kumbaya mean what? You think it mean come by here. Everybody on here. And they're arguing me to death. And I say, well, let's get the lexicon. And then any scholar, and when I say scholarship means something, because you mistranslating words and you would be sincere, but you sincerely wrong with your brother right here. And I say kumbaya, it don't mean that. The kum, the ba, and the ya, it means stand up and arise. And that's why I say we lost due to a lack of knowledge, or we destroyed due to a lack of knowledge because we refuse to learn. Hosea 4:6. You see? That's why I'll be laughing. I said Moors. Do we say we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood? Yes or no? If you do, I say, okay, well, where you get that from? The Quran or the Bible? In these contexts, when we're using the two, which one? You know? A person that's not coming from science, does not have the lexicons, they'll say, well, it means this what Big Mama told me. And Big Mama can be basing things on tradition. You can still be cutting the turkey in half like they did back in the day. But we got big we got big conventional ovens and big pans. You don't have to cut it in half. So if you're doing that today, that's not law. That's what? Tradition. And I don't have no problem with no one's tradition, as long as you understand. And you can't say this is main supreme because it's tradition. This is what I'm talking about, understanding, but knowing who you are as a people. Man, this should be very simple. What we got? Let me see. Oh, we at my time, so I got to get out of here, man. I went over my time because we got to talking and having conversations. But that's why we can't have nothing. We'll give more power and credit to the preacher and go get the preacher all our money with all due respect as they build infrastructures and they done got rich. And the community look like nothing. I'm home. All the churches for sale. What? All of them. It was a big church on DuPont, Church Without Walls. They for sale. The one pastor across the street, he got a church in Saginaw. All these churches for sale. And that's why I said, and it ain't nothing happening. What you say, Noble? Facts. Most people should listen more and study more than they speak. They be tripping. And I'll be like, man, I said that don't even make sense. We be talking about things that was programmed to us, that was given to us with no research, with no study. And then we be standing on it. And then when we supposed to stand correct, or if you say you sincere and you sincerely wrong, a noble man, an honest person would go back and correct that. And we don't even have the kahunas or the gratitude to go fix it. We'll stay with the BS. And that's what I be saying with a lot of these bays. When I say, no, my Islam, my science ain't what you is. You ain't the author of me, because I have my own brotherhood, my fraternal order. I have my own charter. You know, I ain't teaching nothing biased. I love my people. But when I'm telling us as a group of people identifying as something that's synonymous to slave, you will never get no reparations. I don't care if you have Ben Crump to be your defense attorney. He gonna get paid regardless. This is what I be telling people. I said, dude, stop playing. If you down with reparations like I am, I say, well, the first thing you got to do is stop calling yourself Negro, Black, and Colored, and African American. That's number one, uno. Number two, when you filling out things and they got similar to the SF-181 form, and you feel Negro, Black, and Colored, African American because you gun ho, or you got a stigma. As soon as you see that, you fill it out, and you don't understand what I'm saying. Who problem is that? Think about what I'm saying, what we promulgate as a people with these people, with these bays, and we talk about nationality, the order of the day, and we ain't went totally global with the whole movement. And everybody want to say, well, they agree and not to disagree. How are you going to disagree on lawful things? How are you going to disagree with what I'm saying? Anything else going outside what I'm saying is some caricature stuff. It's some sovereign citizen stuff. That's an oxymoron. You know it and I know it. Everything else outside what I'm going to give to you, deliver to you, that you might not have heard or already heard is an oxymoron. I promise you. Everything else, everything that you see and all this fake paperwork, all this stuff, man, I already done cleared that up in 1.2 seconds. People that ain't even the Moorish science, they say this is what they say about Moors. Are y'all the ones that don't pay taxes and can ride around without no plates? I say anybody doing that is a jackleg. The 1099 ain't no trust fund at the end of the rainbow. I keep telling this. You totally off. And this is what I be telling people. Like, you totally off. And so, once again, the only people that's keeping us in bondage, y'all, is our own preachers and teachers. And then it's our own brothers that won't tune in and won't share this message with everyone. And so, once again, I'm out of here. You said, why do you think Moors are so knowledgeable but can't build wealth? I don't know why they can't build wealth. That's on them. You said, why do you think Moors are so knowledgeable but can't? I don't know. That's that In Living Color prison stuff, because I ain't one of them. That's why I tell people, I said, people don't lost it. Most people don't have expertise. The only way you're going to be an expert in anything, if you're going to go learn about it, it's going to be some trial and error. It's going to be some investment. Like, I have companies. A lot of my friends don't frequent the companies because they ain't into that. So I have a book company, mypdfbooks.com, where I converted 25 million books, over 25 million books, just like Google did. So most of my business come from college students and other people in academia that I've met at different colleges. So, and when I go on a college campus and lecture. So that's what I tell people, a different life. So I don't know why a lot of Moors are knowledgeable. I say, knowledgeable on what? And then again, if a lot of people are how can I say, basing wisdom on a dollar amount, like I said again earlier, wealth is different depending on who you talk to. When we talk about the form of wealth, a person can say all they want to do is be the best, say, manager at such and such, and they want to be the best at and raise their family and get a good wife. That might be wealth and success to them. So when you say wealth is measured on different parameters, because your meaning of wealth might be totally different to someone else. So the next question I will ask you, do you know any Moors that can't build wealth? Or are you dealing with Moors that can't build wealth? Or are you talking about yourself? You know, because I'll say, well, what do you do to build wealth? Because we always got to point the finger back at us when we point to somewhere. I say, well, what are you doing to try to build wealth besides just working a job? I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm saying, well, to build wealth, you're not going to build wealth working no 9 to 5. So if that's all a person is doing, a person have to talk about themselves. We say, well, this is what we can do together to build wealth. We should learn about this. We should learn about how to buy property and do these things for we don't go in debt, for we don't go in debt mortgages and all that. We should have things in our society where we can barter and XYZ and educate our kids. But so when we talk about a group of people or a different group of people, I don't know, because wealth is measured on different parameters. I know some people say, would you take $10 million or comfortability in XYZ? Some people won't choose the $10 million. Some people will choose the comfortability, a wife, the kids, steady income to pay, make sure they overhead, and way less than $10 million. So when a person asks that, I'll be like, once again, that's that contest. Because I don't know all Moors. You know, I don't know more. Like I said, I don't deal with certain groups. I deal with what I do. I deal with what I do. I can't talk about what nobody else do. And as I close, this is like if I'm courting a woman. I ain't talking about you. I don't care what you doing. I mean, I'm talking about me. I'm like a horse that got blinders on. Man, I don't even see you. If we after the same thing, if we courting the same thing, you ain't worth me talking about you. Now I'm making sure I'm right. I'm making sure I'm in physical stature. I'm making sure when she around me, her attention is captivated. So it ain't nothing else going on in her mental. Already done got inside her without getting inside her. How? My attributes, my pheromones. So I ain't talking about no one else. As I always tell men in their lower self, when they be feeling it's a personal attack, I said, I know where brother's coming from. Once again, I'm not getting ready to be 50 for no reason. And I ain't the toughest grasshopper in the world. I'm not. But when I'm telling brother, I said, I'm at the age where, man, I don't have time to be playing semantics with no one or talking about things that's meaningless or what other people do. It's going to always be people that know some things. And to another person, if you're looking at tangible things, a person might say they're not successful. But what are they? Or build or can't build wealth. But how do you know what wealth is compared to them? This is what I always tell people about subjective and objective. Research those two phrases. That's why you said you used to be a student. You know, yeah, we know why, you know, but we talk about subjective and objective. So we have to talk about ourselves in these things and how can we build wealth? I already demonstrate that. A lot of people might not be on that level to where they understand this. Where a lot of people watch Sopranos and didn't know the Sopranos were under the church. Don't understand that we taxes them for the federal government. And instead of giving our money to Uncle Sam, we're supposed to be donating to our religious and charitable contribution of our choice, building infrastructure, building temples, buying houses to have a religious community. That's building wealth and equity to when people not getting a mortgage. But I know this is what young men do. They talk. That's how we build wealth, because I don't know no other way you're going to be wealthy unless you have a specific task, unless you a doctor, a lawyer, or you be successful as a businessman. When we talk about finances, but working a 9 to 5, and that's what most people on here do, you'll never be wealthy or build no wealth. And everybody Moors. Because more is our birth. Yeah, I'm glad you have to say you. So be specific. You had to stop studying and you had to focus on building your business. I know I fell off. Yeah, that you have to talk about yourself. And that's what I tell people. So, and then I tell people, you maybe, and I'm glad you being honest, because you got to talk about yourself. And a lot of times people get too far into science to where it don't work. You become a peasant. You become a pest. Because, you know, you got caught up in the magic. Oh, I can fill this out and get this. That's why people say they can't study and do this. But it's just like if you, a minister and all that, you're going to say, oh, man, my business and me being a minister or me being a teacher, I got to stop being a teacher because I'd have fell off my business. That ain't how that works. That's why I've been telling people you want to eat, you have to understand that your plate be full, because this is a part of you, your nationality and your spirituality. That's how people, they get misconstrued because they say business and they get focused in business. And I say, well, your business should be right if your heart is pure. How are your studies going to interfere with your business? It's 24 hours in a day. That's why I be telling young grasshoppers, I say, man, it's 24 hours in a day. So how your studies is going to interfere with that bag? Tell me. Because I know people spend more time playing a damn video game and making no money, drinking and smoking and hanging and chasing women than they do in some studies. That's what I'll be saying. I said, come on. I said, what about the rest of the time? And so when I ask a person building your business, when I say, well, what's your business? With all due respect, like my brother Mickey say, like, well, what business you got going on? And I ain't saying it like that to you when a person say building your business, because anybody can get a business card. I'll be telling people, anybody can get a business card. Anybody can get a business card. Anybody can get an EIN, but is it making money? And if you who you are, I don't see none of my Al-Islams, none of my the imams that I know that run businesses, man. I'm gonna show y'all one of my homeboy that's an imam at the temple when I go back to AZ. My homeboy. I'm gonna show you my other Amish homeboy Khalid, and he'll more. And I'm gonna show you when people, they all gonna come, what success is different. They're gonna say, well, how you can't be who you are and do your business? They're gonna say that's a character flaw. Because these two go hand in hand. It makes you better. It makes your operation even better when you do this. So you don't turn your back on your studies and say, well, I had to turn back on my studies and focus on building your business. That ain't how that go. Because Allah, God, is the best of planners. So why would you turn your back on your studies and focus on your business? I mean, and that's why I tell people, I said, I ain't talking about me. I'm saying, if you say you understand and Allah is the best planners, the Creator don't tell us to quit on the things that's building character. These are two things that was taken from us from slavery. What? Our nationality and our spirituality. This is a gift. So being able to study your gift from a right map and guide is a gift. And it don't interfere with your studies. How? I mean, with your business, how? You working 24 hours a day? If you're working 24 hours a day, then yeah, man, if a person running a business, you got a laptop, you got computers, and if you're getting government contracts, are you doing all the work or do you got employees? All this stuff, X, Y, Z. And if you're getting government contracts, then you scheduling your work. So then you have certain freedom to do X, Y, and Z. Why? Because your schedule is different if you getting government contracts. I know a lot of people that say they got a government contract. They ain't never got no contracts. How? Because they don't know how to bid. They don't know how to get government contracting. So why? Because they don't get the right source. So a person say, yeah, I got this business, government contracts. And I say, well, how many contracts you have? They'll say, man, I ain't even got none yet. Okay, well, then that you ain't making no money. So when a person say focus on that, I say you don't turn your back on your studies to focus on no dollar. That's organic. Like money, making money is organic. It's no magic trick to get the bag. That's what I be telling people. You get the money. The money comes when you're doing the right thing. You ain't focusing on that specifically. That's a natural thing. When people say money comes to me easy, when you do money mantras and you're doing the right thing, you have to, if you own that level, you have to give that specific time to everything. And that's why we tell people off balance. See, that's why I be saying, man, young brothers, we got to get out of here, man, because I'll be doing all this with people. That's why I say certain people used to be students, because this what we do. You know, this what we do. I say we do this all day. We go back and forth. Ain't nothing wrong with being industrious, but I say you don't put nothing over who you are. You don't put nothing over understanding who you are, and that shouldn't interfere with that. If it is, that's an issue that you have. That's a growth that you have to have, and you can't blame it on the science. This is what I'm telling people. We blame things on the science because the mind is not mature enough yet to handle those things. It's just like a straight razor. I wouldn't give a straight razor to a kid that don't know how to use it. You know, a straight razor, I would give it to you when you know how to use it. I don't care how old you are. You don't even know how to use the straight razor. And that's why I said the first part of healing, when I be telling young grasshoppers, is you got to admit that you got a problem. I said, man, I've been on this buck 50 years for a reason. I ain't the only one. Most of my brothers is here. Some people didn't make it. My brother didn't make it. My homie Miguel didn't make it. My homie Michael Blackmore didn't make it. Marlon didn't make it. Mike didn't make it. No matter how people felt about them, those were people that I knew, and that's just a handful. So what I'm saying is, we can't let this interfere or say it's either this or that. That's all I'm saying, brothers and sisters. As we close, we give our time to everything that don't mean nothing. But on this aspect, when I hear young grasshoppers and when I hear young brother and I say, man, that ain't the way. That ain't the way. How? Because you can get caught up in chasing something, and your mental is not where your spirit, your understanding is not built up in a certain way where you can have a disagreement with someone and it can go to a whole nother level. Why? Because you haven't built yourself up the way to understand confrontation on that level you need to avoid. So I give you honors, young grasshopper. I said, we have to agree and talk about ourselves. Like we have to admit when you have to work on something. We just can't keep coming. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? When this, I said, dude, like that ain't what we doing. And that's all I'm saying. And also, it don't have nothing to do with age neither. I can go there with you because I respect you and an admiration that you probably younger than a lot of people I deal with to even be coming with these conversations and even be here and even taking the time to listen. So on the flip side, I'm not coming at you in a certain way, but this is the holy breath. And I'm glad you're here to accept that because a lot of men, they way older than you, they done. So I give you a lot of honor because I know you a younger man. I'm probably 20 years your senior. You know, I'm probably 20 years your senior. So I give you honor as a young man asking all these honorable questions. I give you, see, that's what I just told you. I know. I said I'm 20 years your senior. I know people got kids your age. You know, I just helped a young man get out of prison that been in the joint since he was 17. Like, man, just thanking me. So I know where a lot of our mental be. And then I know where we at. I know how we can overcome. I know. And so I give you honor of what you're saying at the right age of 30. I wish I had the time, though I come from a mom and a dad, but I wish my brothers was on that level, to this wisdom like that, to where as a 30-year young man, or if you had an elder like that in my 20s, I would have grew up in this science. It would have been a different understanding. Why? Because I love the brotherhood. And so when you talk about finances and when you talk about industrious, now you have the opportunity as a young 30-year-old man, a young man, to get some wisdom from an elder and build infrastructure. And you can say, hey, and you can say Sheik wasn't no gatekeeper. She gave me all the tools to build finance. That's why we rock with Sheik. Because look what we own. Yeah, he done took me something to a mile. I'm giving all my money away to Uncle Sam. Look what all the land we own. Look at the property we own. Understanding you at the right age to be resurrected. That's why I say a lot of people, sometimes when I say you can't teach an old, new tricks, why? Because sometimes you just got to let them be. Not say you don't love them, but you have to build with those that you can build with. And so as a young 30-year-old man, I know so many people that's rapping, talking crazy, that's drinking lean all day, that's the message is disgusting. And as a 30-year-old man, a young man, I give all honor to you, brother. I told you, I know who you are. I ain't got to say, I know everything. And being, how can I say, eager and how can I say, like I use an analogy like Curious George, and I'm using that in that context, not calling them up, but the curiousness and I want to see, I want to find out. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's just like in the Bible, Thomas wasn't doubting. He said, if you can walk on water, I want to see if I can do it. Remember, young grasshopper, as I tell you, and I only say that with respect, I'll be trying to get off, but you keep coming back with things. You don't have to worry about reaching your full potential. Your full potential is not a job. Your full potential is not your career. When you manifest into yourself, it's things that this equals this, and this equals this, and multiplied by this equals this. This is what I'm telling you. Certain things I keep telling you, if it's natural, if what you're doing, you don't have to put all that focus in that. You will reach your full potential. And I'm going to use it in, how can I say, unexpectedly. When you have no expectations, you let yourself down. You go and everything with no expectations. How? My will and the creator will to manifest. But when you go on things in your own expectations, you just said you want to fulfill your potential. But your life you didn't create yourself. You didn't birth yourself. Young brother. So if you doing the right thing, you are reaching your full potential because you are working in your progress. It never stopped. I told you, I'm 50. My potential is continuous. Why? Because I'm in the flesh. I ain't putting no cap on it. Oh, it's a limit. You get $1 million, you put a cap on it, man. If you're doing it righteousness, you want more than $1 million. So when you say your full potential, okay, what's your full potential? What you think your full potential is? Oh, I just want to make a little bit of money. Oh, I just want to make 10 million. I don't want to make no 10 million. I don't want to make no 100 million. I want my cup to run is over. I'll have no cap on it. It ain't no number amount. Well, what type of temple school you want? I want the biggest. I want to be able to take care of everybody anywhere. I don't have no number on it. Or I want my will and whatever my creative, whatever vernacular I use, I want it to be in line. I want my cup to run is over. I don't have nothing when I say my potential. This ain't about me. This is why I say we got to clear up the language, because when you put an expectation on yourself or in your kids, you putting a cap on it. Well, I expect my kids to do X, Y, Z, and Z because I ain't do it. Well, if they don't want to do that, what if their expectations is X, Y, Z and their expectations is greater than yours? This is what I'm saying. We have to be able to mature that mind. And so I'm glad we're having this conversation. Just like if we were sitting down in the hood and on Juma or a holy day, and this is what we're doing. That's what we need in our temple. We have different days we can talk about history and civics and all that. We have different days we talk about trust. We have different days we talk about building our community under our religious charter, how we buy property in our neighborhood and make it tax exempt for the federal government and build our own community. I'm telling you, it's a lady in what part of that Detroit? Oh, it ain't Farmington Hills, but she's called Mama Sue. She's running for mayor. I can't think of the area, but she owned a whole block. So this is what I'll be talking about. We don't have these think tanks, y'all. We don't understand the order we have. We tax them for the federal government. Nobody's going to help us. Nobody's going to come in our community and own nothing. We need to do this. So when you're saying your potential, it ain't about you, brother. It's about you doing everything that you can right now. It's about working in your progress, not putting a cap on it. Because when you put a cap on yourself, you limiting success. Because if you say you just want to reach your full potential, my next question is going to ask you, well, what's your full potential? What do you think your full potential is? Because you say you just want to reach your full potential. Well, I'm telling you, your full potential is so unlimited that you shouldn't even be talking about you want to just reach your full potential. You should talk about you want to go to the atmosphere. So when we talk about full potential, man, my potential is limitless. My potential has no cap. My potential is limitless. I am greater than my circumstances. I am this. Aya. All these things, but I can tell people we're not getting that. Our kids not getting that. They're not getting that they're beautiful and they're intelligent. They're not getting all these things that we program the mind. So I'm out of here, man. I got to dip. I've been on here for a minute. I love y'all. Peace, light, and illumination.